Today, I will show a 12-year-old's experiences on the Camino de Santiago in my favorite stages. Every time I try to figure out what makes a day, I only realize that it's 1,000 factors we don't control and probably another 1,000 we do. Though it's hard to pinpoint my favorite days, I gave it a shot. My 10th favorite day was from Estea to Torres Del Rio. This was our 6th day on the Camino, and it seemed to have it all. The views were incredible all day, and the trail was hard enough to keep us entertained. We walked 29.1 kilometers, so we were thankful that the walk wasn't too hilly. My mom and I discussed literature, personality types, and the name of our future cat, all while trying as hard as possible to avoid getting soaked by a loud storm. To start the day off, we visited the Irachi wine fountain. We had breakfast in Azqueta and a quick snack in Villa Mayor's old church before facing 12 kilometers with no support. Thankfully, there is the well-established town of Los Arcos, ready to greet us after that stretch. Many pilgrims stopped there, but we continued to Torres Del Rio, which added 8 or 9 kilometers.
Cloud, y'all, after me. But I don't know if you can hear it, but it is thunder. There's a gray cloud coming up on us. So that's either Sansol or Torres del Rio.
After arriving in Torres del Rio, we enjoyed our dinner with Birgit from Germany and Trina and Garrett from Ireland. I liked this day because of the views, people, conversation topics, and surprisingly because we outwalked a storm. On my 9th favorite day, we walked from Palas de Rei to Arzúa. This was day 30 of our Camino, and it was in one of our favorite stretches. We walked through forests, and I walked through puddles. Many of our friends walked with us, including Patri and Jennifer and Gavin. As we were getting really close to the end of the Camino, it was nice to see people one more time.
How could you step in that puddle? You could step anywhere else on the whole trail.
Well, I was walking here and I was looking up there, and then I stepped like that.
We had our breakfast in the beautiful town of Melide and enjoyed crossing over their very old bridge. The two of us and Jennifer and Gavin ate lunch full of Galician specialties at the Mesón Riberizo. Good food and great company propelled us through 24 kilometers and into Arzúa. I like this day because we saw cats, horses, cows, many of our friends, and some of our favorite foods, all while seeing the kilometers to Santiago shrink by the step. My 8th favorite day was from Fonsebadón to Ponferrada. On this day, we reached one of the Camino's most marquee landmarks, the Cruz de Ferro. While we definitely enjoyed that spot, that wasn't the only thing we liked about the day. Though the weather wasn't great the first half of the day, it cleared up to allow beautiful views later on. The trails we walked on varied from soft mud lined with wildflowers to slippery slate that required some careful maneuvering to stay upright. These paths, combined with the occasional Galician village, managed to keep us entertained for all of 25.6 kilometers, in which we climbed up a mountain and back down. What I liked about this day was that it had tricky trails, mildly worrisome weather to keep us on our toes, and of course, Ponferrada's impressive Templar history to look forward to. Even though it was a long walk, we got a second wind after seeing the walls of one of Europe's best-kept Templar castles. We explored several old churches and Ponferrada City Hall before getting dinner in historic Ponferrada next to our friend Patri and tucking in for a long night of sleep. On my 7th favorite day, we walked from Portomarín to a tiny town 5 kilometers past Palas de Rei. We saw some of the best cats of the whole trip all throughout the day. Our views were great, and we walked through some of the Camino's best forests just after Palas de Rei. We were reunited with Jennifer and Gavin and walked with them for much of the stage. We ate a big breakfast after 8 kilometers, so we weren't really hungry again until Palas de Rei, where we had a nice lunch of pasta and garlic shrimp. The last legs of our walk were very peaceful, as we only saw about 5 people, and some livestock, of course. In the place we stayed, there wasn't anything else. After a quick dinner at our albergue, we tucked in for the night. I liked this day because of the food, forests, and friends we encountered. Our breakfast, lunch, and dinner were some of the best yet, and my mom had been anticipating the magical Galician forests since the start of the Camino. I think meeting up with our friends Jennifer and Gavin speaks for itself. My 6th favorite day was from Triacastela to Sarria. This was a very quiet day, as the trail mostly wound through forests and we walked alone. We were cold all day, which was shockingly refreshing after the heat of the meseta. We didn't see many cats, but there was too many cows and sheep to count. We even saw some little lambs. Early in our walk, we came across Art's studio, an artist's small and very welcoming shop that was right on the trail. He gave us each a painting and our pilgrim passports, and we spent the rest of the day trying to dry and preserve the works of art. Our trails were muddy, rocky, and steep, but incredibly fun and challenging. The towns we passed through were cute, and Sarria was beautiful. After arriving at our hotel and dropping our stuff, we ate lunch in a place the hotel owner recommended. We were not disappointed. We toured the church area and scouted a place for breakfast before going back to our hotel for the night. My 5th favorite day was from Burgos to Hontanas. This was the first day of the meseta, and gave me high expectations for the remaining days. The wheat and wildflowers were in full bloom, especially the poppies. We walked alone for a few kilometers before meeting up with our friend, Bill from Florida, and walking about half of our day with him. When he stopped, we still had a long stretch with no support left. It was very hot, but at least that area was gorgeous.
Molly and Stacy, what a team. I've learned a lot from them.
We were exhausted by the time we made it to a stop 2 kilometers before Hontanas. There, we enjoyed a lunch of carrot cake with a refreshing drink before continuing to our destination. In Hontanas, there was little trouble with our hotel reservation, but the communal dinner and air-conditioned room made up for it. I liked this day because of the views, new friends, and cats. On my 4th favorite day, we walked from O Cebreiro to Triacastela. This was, without question, our worst weather day, so how did I enjoy it so much? It was really a combination of factors. It was an excellent friend day, as we started and finished with Jennifer and Gavin, saw our friends from Alicante at the albergue Atrio, and talked with a couple of friends from Oklahoma at one of our stops. There wasn't many cats, but we did get to walk with some very tame cows. The trails were even nice for most of the day, so our legs, feet, and backs weren't hurting the whole time. Every conversation was lighthearted and funny, despite that we were, to quote my mom, reaching new levels of misery. We ate crepes while we walked through an obstacle course of fresh manure and puddles, saw a pilgrim statue with bandages on his feet, and met a sweet dog who wanted nothing more than to eat my poncho. After that, we stayed in one of our best hotels of the trip. All in all, it was a great day. My third favorite day was from Astorga to Fonsebadón. It was our first day off the meseta, and the change was almost startlingly fast. The weather cooled down, and we were surrounded by forests, mountains, and slate-filled Galician villages, instead of open fields of wheat and sandy paths. We didn't walk with any friends, but the numerous cats and strange conversation topics made up for it. Leftover clouds from the previous night's rain gave us cover when we crossed large open areas, so we didn't get sunburned. Friendly animals and people made the day even better. The threat of rain hung over us all day. Thankfully, it didn't come true until just after we had entered our tiny, kitten-filled albergue. We ate dinner at a table next to the Alicante ladies in a restaurant across the street. The food and change made this day great. My second favorite day was when we walked from Villafranca to O Cebreiro. This is a day that every Camino goer anticipates with some amount of fear, but we also looked upon it with excitement. We've always loved uphills. We also had a huge accomplishment in another area when the cat count reached 100. For the first 2/3 of the day, we walked fast in the hope that we could at least reach the ascent before the looming rain hit. This was about 20 kilometers of walking. After that, it was a steep uphill. Around halfway through that stretch, we stopped for our first Torres de Santiago in La Faba. We walked the 4.7 remaining kilometers in a light rain, which balanced the extra heat from the climb. Seconds after we entered our accommodations for the night, it started pouring. We still went to O Cebreiro's pilgrim mass, as we would have been disappointed to miss a Camino speech in 6 languages. After tapas with the Alicante ladies, we tucked in for the night.
Buen camino! Buen camino!
I don't know how any day could be better than this, but one was. In the end, my favorite day of the Camino de Santiago was the first day. It definitely set a high bar for the days to come. Because of travel complications, we had to take a 6 a.m. taxi from Pamplona to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, leaving us both more than a little carsick. Once we arrived, we were able to get our pilgrim passports with no lines, since it was still really early. We then wandered around to find a breakfast place. After eating, we walked 7.5 to 8 kilometers to Orison, where we split a piece of cake, rewarding ourselves for the extreme hills we had already faced. The walk only got steeper from there. It was around kilometer 17 when we ran into the day's greatest challenge. Before us, in the middle of the path, was a dead horse covered in massive bone vultures. We and a group of other pilgrims ran past the scene, screaming and waving our arms, as others who had passed the site suggested. The rest of the day was a blur of relief and beauty. The Hotel Roncesvalles was amazing. and we had the best room in the house. Many other days were great, but none of them could match this. So that is a 12-year-old's take on the Camino Frances. While these were my top 10, I truly loved almost every stage. This was an amazing experience, and I know I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.